Morning, good evening, good afternoon to all our Groundbreakers fans globally. Today, we have Mr. Francisco with us today. He is the CEO and founder of APLITOP. And today's podcast will talk about his journey. He's got immense experience in surveying and also in software. So, Francisco, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I look forward to sharing your story with the world today.
Hello, Ridwit. It's really a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Francisco, you've had an incredible journey. I think over 20 years of experience in the industry, and the last 20 have been at APLITOP. And you developed innovative solutions to really make it easy for tunnelers to do what they do best. So, what inspired you to focus on this field, and how has the company evolved over the years under your leadership?
Well, I always loved maths. And since I was a child, I was programming, I was developing programs for calculating equations and solving different problems. Then when I started the degree in computer science in the university, when I was 18, I started working for an engineering company. And the manager of this company introduced me, Carlos Villalba, who is a surveyor, and he had some experience in programming with BASIC. Then we started the relationship with him. In fact, he's still my partner in APLITOP. I started migrating the source code of these old applications to new applications developed with C++, advanced graphics, and this was the original what is now APLITOP.
Wow, so it was really a passion of coding and some inspiration that really made you build this game-changing software for the industry.
Yes,
So,
it
yeah,
was the synergy between the computer science and surveying. So,
sewing, yeah, and also a bit of math because you said you had a lot of love for math.
yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that's another thing that we're trying to push with the podcast as well is how we can bring different technologies into the civil engineering, more focused in geotech and geodetic field because there's so much technology there with robotics, AI, even with computing, even with laser scanners, that really we don't have to build the next battery or the next laser scanner. We need to bring these technologies together and cook a very good product. So it's very inspiring. And I think today you've scaled globally. You have thousands of users, probably many, many users worldwide. So what challenges have you faced while scaling AppleTop globally? And how do you really ensure that these solutions, with the needs adapting, with the customer requirements adapting, like how do you ensure that need is always met of the customer?
The first challenge was because APLITOP is based in Malaga, in the south of Spain,
Yes.
and it's not in Madrid or Barcelona, no big city. Now, Malaga is a touristic city receiving millions of tourists a year, and has also a powerful technology park. But when we started, it was not the same. The communications were difficult, the internet didn't exist, and so we had to travel frequently to Barcelona, Madrid, and other where the decision makers, and we have to carry big computers to make demonstrations and things like that. This was the first challenge. And then we are continuously listening to our users on a daily basis. So we try to understand their needs and providing good technical support for them. And also our software is designed with an open design and flexible design so that it could be adapted to different needs of users. So I think it is a key factor about how we can be able to adapt to different kind of users. So we have users, our users are um, sorry, I don't know you
No,
have
that's fine.
because I want to say that we have different kind of users for the same application, from
Yeah,
freelancers to major construction companies. They are using the
yeah.
same because of their flexibility.
And I think that's interesting because you mentioned major construction companies like it because of the flexibility. But maybe you want to dive in a little bit more into like the real need, like how do you identify the need of the surveyor or the construction company, and like how have these innovations that you've introduced really like changed them? Maybe some specific changes, some specific days where you had that eureka moment.
No, usually people ask them, I would like to do this, but I don't know how to implement. I don't know even if it's possible with your software. Sometimes it's possible that is you can run this command and then this one, and you will get the result. And sometimes it's not, this feature is not implemented, and we try to study how to make it possible. And so our software can be considered in many ways like a toolbox, and try to solve the user needs.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's very, very specific to sites as well and site conditions that you really solve. And I think that's something very common that we've heard across the podcast that every project is different and the ground conditions everywhere are different and the needs of the project and the solution you need are different, even though the same sensors, same laser scanners, same software is being used. Yes, I think that's a
So
pretty interesting way to
uh,
put it.
a wide variety of sensors and instruments, and we have, in fact, we have to adapt our applications continuously to support the new devices, new versions, and new software. So it's continuing work.
Yep. And I think the more we integrate new technologies, the more aware also users will be. So that will also make it a lot more flexible as a community beyond just organizations today. And I think that's something that we were both at Intergeo, and we saw so many companies there. So I mean,
Yes.
if we can bridge that gap and each of them had like a stall, but if the stalls come together and start solving the needs more together, I think that will also have a very interesting impact on the engineering community. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, in fact, there are usually we receive um, many different inputs from our users, and not only the project needs, but also they need to support. They want to our software to support their new instruments. Even we usually receive in our office prototypes of new devices before they are launched to the market, and also beta versions of different software to be integrated. So we try to continuously add support for new devices and software for our users to cover the user demands.
I think that like just being able to do that for the users is very unique in our field because a lot of people stick to very hard coded softwares. And I think that's something that, at least for us, when we use APLITOP, we really appreciate the flexibility to integrate and the flexibility to build. So I think let's move on a bit to surveying. So you work with laser scanners, not LiDAR, but laser scanners, BIM, GPS, sometimes UAVs. And what advancements in all these technologies, even total stations, for example, have changed? And as these devices continue to evolve, like we have robotic total stations now, we have Regal coming up. Of course, we have Trimble, like Topcon with the traditional laser scanners. You have Faro, you have SLAM. Like, what future technologies are you excited about in the surveying landscape as it's rapidly changing?
Yes, the technology is evolving very quickly, and from the surveillance and civil engineering point of view, I'm especially interested in technologies such as integration of cameras and laser laser distance meters in the GNSS receivers. Also, the integration of LiDAR sensors in mobile devices, especially for Android data collectors. That will be so that it will be possible to perform quickly the 3D reconstruction, and also the evolution of handheld scanner
Mm,
and the practical use of augmented reality.
mm,
Because now you know that is not perfect,
yeah,
and also interested in the indoor positioning technology.
yeah. Wait, so one thing sparked my mind, augmented reality. So I think that's the maybe the first or second time we're hearing it on the podcast. And I think for a common user, you think of more VR with the metaverse. But can you talk a bit more about augmented reality and how you see it impacting our industry?
We participated years ago. We participated, I think it was on 2016, in a research project for developing applications for virtual and augmented reality applied to the construction. And
Okay.
we developed several prototype applications, and the result was really nice. But the problem is that the technology was not still mature enough. So the performance of tablets, the resolution of, for instance, of virtual glasses was not very good, and you required cables, and the performance was not enough. And so in practice, it was a good experience, but for real use, it requires more time. Now we can see that there are new solutions that begin to start being useful, but the technology has to improve, uh, especially for the hardware point of view.
So it's going to take a lot of hardware tech maturization before we really plug it into our industry. But
That's
do you visualize something like right now, like we see the laser scans and you do analysis on your computers, but like someone just sitting in their room and being on the site from their
Yes,
room? W-
we created
Yeah.
a application for for watching virtual projects with HoloLens, so that you could put on a table, for instance, a building or organization, and then you could move along the table and see from different point of view your project, and zoom in, zoom out, enable, disable layers.
Wow.
Other interesting application. This was 8 years ago. Other
Whoa.
interesting, yes, other interesting application was for augmented reality, in which we could convert a drawing, a CAD drawing, and export it to the augmented reality glasses or even a tablet, and see using the GPS information, the accurate position. You could see over the reality, you could see the project. For instance, a road, you could see all different lines. It was very nice. You can visit
Wow.
in the parallel site.
And this was all 8 years ago. And
Yeah.
when people weren't even talking about augmented and virtual reality.
Yes,
So
maybe some was
yeah.
pioneers.
You guys are pioneers. So, okay, this is maybe a tricky question, but a very short answer. In how many years from now, so if in 2024, do you see augmented reality becoming a actual reality in our industry?
I have seen some solutions that are really, I think they are really useful to today. But they has to be, the cost needs to be reduced, and also be more known, because now it's a bit tricky, and it's not for all cases. But I think in next few years, next 5 years, will be available to most people, especially
Wow.
there are applications for indoor and outdoor. Outdoor is easier because you can have accurate GPS information.
You're saying 5 years for AR, VR. People are saying 2 years for AI agents. So I think our industry is really, really going to get impacted by all these new technologies, even digital twins becoming a buzzword. But I think that's been there for a long time. And now people also call a laser scanner digital twin. So I think moving on to that digital twin topic, I think BIM is the building information model. That's, I think, the main word is, I think, a very important factor. So, how do you think BIM has impacted civil engineering and our industry, and how do you see it evolving in the next few years?
BIM is increasingly important, especially for public tenders for projects developed by public government. And BIM requires the project planning is more demanding because you need to work directly using a 3D model, a shared 3D model with linked data. So you need to plan better, and it's more demanding. But because in the past, usually all people and agents participating in a project had basically a set of 2D drawings, but now they have 3D model, and they can share information and collaborate between them, and this is much better. But of course, this the project plan is much is more expensive, but you will get benefits in terms of time savings and cost savings, especially in the execution phase, because you will avoid errors, typical errors that are very expensive to solve, because the most errors will be detected at the design phase, and so you will get also money savings.
So you're talking about saving costs, saving time, adding value, and also BIM being a real more than a visualization, more like a collaboration tool. So it's more about collaborating with all the different teams on site, basically, something like that.
Yes, and now you have documents, standardized documents like BIM execution plan, information delivery manuals. They are standard documents so that every agent knows exactly what the other agents expect and which information needs to be delivered and how. So it's much better.
And I think that's great because standardization is key and that can help like scale it globally as well. And in our industry, there's not a lot of standardization. Like simply for us, every sense and data logger gives a different output and different file format. So if we get BIM standardized, if we get the more standardization we do, I think the more scalable will the
Exactly.
technologies get. Yeah.
It's very important and avoid mistakes. It's a very useful methodology. But of course, it requires specialized training because
Yeah.
in many cases, it's a huge change in the workflow. There are new, there are new workflows, even new jobs. You have now BIM managers, BIM modelers, and
Hmm.
all of them require training, specialized training.
And how do you see this training? So I have two parts of this question. So do you think people are getting that training the way they should be, or do you see there being a gap between the number of trained engineers on site versus the actual need? And the second part is that what are the other challenges that engineers face when they adopt BIM to their project, and how are softwares helping improve that?
Mm. Regarding training, I think there are two aspects. One is they have to learn new tools, but
Hmm.
before this, it's very important to learn about new concepts, new standards, and new workflows, maybe new. So this is first they should study and to be prepared regarding the methodology, and then try to use different tools.
Hmm.
For APLITOP, we have tried to make this transition easy for our users. We were involved with Building Smart International in the development of IFC Road, that is
Okay.
the new standard for.
Hmm.
In fact, now you can apply BIM methodology not only for building projects, but recently you can use it for roads, railways, bridges, ports, for projects. And I think this is starting now, but more and more companies will apply the methodology for this kind of project.
Yeah, and I think the what you really said is that now it's moved to roads, highways, tunnels, and bridges, and I think that will also help people understand the value of the technology and start using it a lot more. And today there are softwares, there are trainings, there are tools, and once it's a standard, it's a standard. So like how the tender documents are duplicated in a lot of
Yes,
places,
very,
BIM
very,
will help ease that.
yes,
Yeah,
because this kind of mistake was very typical. Yes.
yeah, cool. So I think now we could move to the topic of some projects, the impact you've had in the industry. So you've done a lot of projects globally. And your software has had an impact on users. Even Amit from our team at Encardio has had a lot of impact. And Procure being in Malaga, you guys being in Malaga, we've had a lot of interesting discussions. But maybe out of your experience, what are one or two projects where you feel you really impacted the client and are your favorite projects you have executed?
We have many success stories in our website. I can share with you, for instance, a cadastral project in India. The Andhra Pradesh Revenue Department wanted to resurvey thousands of plots of land, and a GPS manufacturer, Apogee UNSS, won the tender, and they used about 800 GPS receivers and our software was in the data collectors and has been used for this project. Many people involved in this project have a really good experience. Also, I can
Wow.
mention highways in the United States or New Zealand, tunnels in Norway or Brazil, subways in Istanbul, Riyadh, or Barcelona, photovoltaic plants in Sweden or Portugal, many different kind of projects. And now
Wow.
we are working with the NEOM project in Saudi Arabia.
Yes. That the Saudi projects are now scaling a lot. I think it's a bit of a stress with how it's going to go forward for everyone, but I think the engineering they do in the Middle East is unbelievable.
Yes, there is exciting many new opportunities. We will try to grow in these areas.
Exactly. And I think I'm still like wowed by 800 GPSs in Andhra Pradesh right here at home in India. But I think the more we make technology accessible and the more we train young engineers on the value of technology, and we have BIM, augmented reality, AR, VR, AI coming in, even robots maybe come in like Optimus. I was watching the Musk robo, I forgot what they called it, but the Tesla event, and you had Optimus walking on the street. And we work a lot in tunnels. Maybe 5 years from now, you have humanoid robots doing the surveying instead of humans in tunnels. Because, I mean, you know what? Like, you'd rather send a robot there than a human in a risky tunnel to do the scanning 24/7.
Yes, maybe also I have seen some robotic systems um, for staking out poles in the photovoltaic plants, for instance. So this kind of applications will be more used. But I think the most necessary, there are technology, disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence that are will be used more and more in the next month. Especially because it's a real need because now the speed of massive data collection has improved a lot, and
Hmm.
I remember when you order a photogrammetric flight, you it took months since you ordered the flight and you get the results, and now
Yeah.
you can plan with a drone in a tablet. You can plan a mission and get the
Yeah.
pictures in minutes and process data and get the results in a few hours. Also, you can, with a handheld scanner, you can scan a building in, let's say, half an hour, and you get millions of points. But the
Yeah.
problem is that once you have this point cloud, you need to spend hours to create a 3D model, an accurate 3D model. And it still requires a lot of manual work, you know.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence will help us to extract relevant information from this point cloud. And it will create, even we are also creating new tools for uh, helping people to speed up this process.
So really using machine learning, pattern recognition, and also maybe some generative AI, maybe on the reporting side, could be pretty cool. And I was seeing your LinkedIn and you did a course from Stanford. I'm Berkeley, so Berkeley, Stanford is a bit of a rivalry. But anyways, like I think you do have a lot of interest in machine learning and AI. So you want to maybe dive in a bit deeper on these two key topics and how they will really impact our industry today.
Mm. Uh, besides besides artificial intelligence, I think there are other promising technologies. For instance, I like it looks promising the Gaussian splatting technology for reconstruction. The problem is that by now it can be used for displaying the point clouds and pictures, but it's not useful yet you cannot measure. You cannot
Hmm.
use information for accurate measurements. But probably in the future this will be solved. Uh, uh, Especially for surveyors, I think it could be an interesting technology.
Yeah, and I think that also save them a lot of time and add a lot of value for
Yes,
them.
and also, uh, I think that probably I think the scanner, laser scanner, the cost is decreasing, and probably in a few years, every smartphone will include LiDAR sensors, so that
Yeah.
you can get a 3D model, not an accurate 3D model, but at least an approximate 3D models in minutes. I
I know
think
that the iPhone, I think when I got the 14 Pro, it had a laser scan and we were making concrete canoes in college. And I think we used Polycam scan, like the Polycam app,
yes,
and we made,
I have it. I
it's
have
so
it.
cool. Like we were making 3D models of the boat and we used it in our presentation and they were like, what did you use?
Yes,
And we were like, iPhone.
yes, but it's much better. You are using iPhone Pro because of the LiDAR.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
it is the same application with Android smartphone. It's not the same because it only works with image, not with
yeah.
LiDAR.
And
Uh,
as we go, I see like, I mean, I integer you saw so many small laser scanners. So either, like you said, in the phone itself or with smaller devices, I think that's going to be a big trend that we see for sure. So I think we've talked a lot about technology, but you work with a team. And today you say we all see technology changing every day, if not every hour. So how do you foster that culture of innovation within your team? And how do you guys keep on innovating and growing?
yes. As I said, we are in contact with manufacturers and software providers to get the latest technology even before they are launched to the market. Also internally, we have at APLITOP, we apply the agile methodology for developing software. All our programmers are using artificial intelligence assistance to improve their productivity. And of course, I try to foster, to encourage the continuous training and learning new techniques, attending to webinars or courses or events because technology evolves very quickly. A new today, a new technology today maybe is obsolete in 1 year's time.
Yeah.
You know,
And now even saying a couple of months.
too fast, and we have to be ready. It's impossible to cover everything, but at least you need to be up to date to know what
So
is happening.
it's all about learning, 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 and continue to learning. And
You
at
can,
this age, even trying.
you can stop learning in your life. It's not absolutely it's not enough with your degree. You need to continue to be continuously learning.
And especially now, I think today we have intelligence for almost free, smart intelligence to learn. I mean, like when now you have Claude, Opus, or GPT-4, or even O1 came out, or Gemini, or even Llama, and literally like $20 a month, you have access to unlimited intelligence. So, and it's
Yes,
only getting smarter.
yes, but I think that artificial intelligence is not magic. It cannot be applied to everything. And even I recommend people should learn something about the basics of the artificial
Yeah,
intelligence and machine learning, especially generative AI, because so that they could decide if it could be possible to apply this technology or not, because
yeah,
it can be applied with successfully to everything.
yeah. No, 100% agree. And I think finding the use cases in our industry is what is critical. Because like with machine learning, it's a lot of it for us is time series regression based algorithms, at least on the sensor side, like how you're cleaning the data, how you're finding the minimum, maximum, and etc. But on the generative AI side, there's so much we can do. But again, it's like, what is it useful for? What is it not useful for? And how can we use it?
Exactly. And also, machine learning and artificial intelligence requires very big amount of data. And
Yeah,
sometimes it's very difficult or very expensive to get this amount of data to train the models. So
100%.
because of that, some projects are not possible because requires many data that are not yet available.
And in our field also, I think now luckily everything is remote and digital. But I think 20 years before, everything was on paper on construction sites. And to scan that, I mean, we don't even know if people have those papers anymore. Like, it's a different thing to have those papers, scan them, then train a model with them. But to find those papers is also a challenge, I feel.
Now everything is much easier. I remember when we used many years ago modems to send updates of the software, but was very slow. Let's say 1 hour to upload a few hundred of kilobytes, for instance. So
Wow.
communication were very slow. Now everything is much easier.
Now it's like almost instant, depending on the Wi-Fi speed
Yeah,
and the protocol you're using. Yeah.
much,
Cool.
much.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So we've covered BIM, we've covered a lot of technology today. And I think you guys have been pioneers, as you said, or pioneers, as you said, in a lot of this technology. So where do you see you guys going in the next 5 to 10 years? And where do you see you taking the technology in the next few years?
APLITOP has more than 25,000 users in about 80 countries, and we would like to continue growing. Especially there are areas in which we are especially interested, like Southeast Asia, Middle East, and other countries where big projects, big construction projects are going to be developed there. Besides the presence in different countries, we are trying also to improve the collaboration with manufacturers of surveying equipment, so that, for instance, they could provide as a standard a bundle with their equipment and our software.
Yeah.
This is what we would like to do in the next years. We are trying, having conversation with different manufacturers and different levels, and we will try to continue growing in these ways.
I think that's very exciting because you're taking more and more of the world, you're impacting more and more engineers, and you're also making it easy for people to do what they do and love what they do. So I think just to move on to that, there's a lot of young engineers who watch this podcast. So as young engineers, as tech enthusiasts, as young surveyors, like what advice would you give to them joining this field? How would you say that these are a few lessons that you've learned to stay ahead of the curve? But what's your 2 cents on them? Yeah.
If you're talking about um, engineers that are going, they want to develop software for this field. First, I will suggest to they to conduct a study about the state of the art, because now there are many, fortunately, there are many initiatives using open source, using public libraries. There are special interest groups. You can find a lot of useful information on the internet, and so that they could try to avoid reinventing the wheel. First. Second is that you should join to domain experts so that they can give you input about the features of the software to be developed, and they can provide feedback about the features, the user interface, the performance, and everything. This is very important. And finally, it's also very important to have a good marketing channels, marketing and selling channels, because you can develop a very good application, but if you can't sell it, you have lost time and money, you know.
Yeah.
And this is for software developers, and for young people, let's say engineers that want to work for the geospatial industry. I would recommend they have to learn continuously. This is essential. Also, I have mentioned previously that they should learn something about the basics of artificial intelligence, to see what is happening and what it can be done and what not. And also, it's very useful to collaborate with people from other disciplines. That is, for instance, if you have a degree of computer science, computers and software by itself are useless if they are not. You cannot apply this knowledge to other disciplines. So, I think the synergy arise when you are in contact. There a multidisciplinary team are in contact, and they can exchange information and needs probably between some people with different profiles. They will be able to solve problems together.
Yeah, so I think that's a lot of great advice from my experience. And to sum it up, it's because software guy is really looking at the state of the industry today. And then instead of reinventing the wheel, finding a new way to solve the need and making something easier. And obviously having a sales channel because I think a lot of us are engineers, and as engineers, we only focus on the product and not
Yeah.
on the business. And I think for young engineers, learn, understand AI, understand new technology, and collaborate because the collaboration is what will bring the magic, according to you, and the experience.
Yes, this is essential. I think it's a key factor. Yeah.
Awesome. So, Francisco, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. And thank you for insights, experiences. And I think it's been very exciting to really see a startup from Malaga, which is a tourist destination. So if anyone's on holiday there, you can always reach out to Francisco to meet him.
Yes,
But
you're very welcome.
yeah, but coming to the point is that it's really a software that has changed the life of surveyors globally. And it's these startups, not a startup anymore, but these organizations that start as startups that grow into 25,000 users globally that really shake industries up and change the world. And I think that's what we're trying to also do through this podcast is that share stories like stories of Francisco and be like, you know what? One day you could build a software that could change the game. And you have mentors like Francisco available to guide you. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you and sharing your story.
Thank you very much. It has been a really a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.